Well, let's bring in Congressman Peter King. He's a keen observer of the impeachment trial. Congressman, thanks for joining us today.
How are you doing?
We're great, thank you. So last night you watched Professor Dershowitz's defense of the president, or the other night. Do you think he did a good job?
Yeah, he was excellent. Actually, I got myself into the Senate. I was sitting right behind the senators. To me, it was a moment in history. I thought Alan Dershowitz did a terrific job. I thought he laid it out well. And I think basically his point was whether you agree or disagree with President Trump, whether you agree or disagree with what he did, it was not impeachable. And impeachment should only be in the highest possible bar. And to me, if we trivialize impeachment, we're going to make it a political weapon. I voted against Bill Clinton's impeachment, and that's why I voted against President Trump's impeachment.
What about John Bolton? You know, we have the new manuscript coming out. Some people say it's necessary to hear what he has to say. Would you like to see him as part of this now?
No, and I'll tell you why. First of all, unlike others, I have a high regard for John Bolton. I've known him over the years. He's actually contributed to my campaigns, and we actually spent time together in New Hampshire during campaigns. So I have a great regard for John Bolton. But my point is, even if everything that he's reported to have said is accurate, that to me is not impeachable. The president, if the president did say he was going to withhold aid until there was an investigation, that to me was within his powers as chief executive. If there's credible evidence of corruption carried out by a government official, he has the absolute right to have that investigated, and to me he can use foreign aid as leverage. That to me is very legitimate. Now, people may disagree with that. They may say that he shouldn't have done it, but it was in his right to do it, and I would say it's his obligation to be checking out corruption. So again, I think this is just going to prolong it, and I'm willing to accept, stipulate that everything that Bolton is supposed to have said, he did say, and I would still say there's no need for it now, because that still would not create a basis for impeachment.
So right now they're going through the question phase. Are there any questions that you would have, any answers that you would want to know?
Yeah, I was trying to, I heard, I guess, about 3 or 4 of the questions before I come down here for the interview. And the first question, though, was very significant. It was from Senator Collins, Senator Murkowski, and Senator Romney, all of whom apparently are considering asking to have Bolton be a witness. And yet the question, to me, almost gave them an out. It said, if there are multiple reasons for why the president did it, for political reasons, for personal reasons, or for governmental reasons, would that be sufficient to impeach him? And the answer was no. So long as there's a legitimate governmental purpose, it doesn't really matter if there was also a political reason, because virtually everything you do in government, and that's part of being a representative democracy, has some political context to it. So I got the impression, I could be wrong, they were asking that question as a way to give them a rationale for voting against having witnesses. Now, again, I could be wrong, but I thought it was significant the way the question was worded, that they were looking for some rationale not to have to vote for witnesses. Now, again, we'll see how they end up voting. As far as the other questions, I think for the most part, it's going to be both sides trying to score points. Republican senators asking questions that will score points for President Trump. The Democrats asking questions that will hurt President Trump. But I think I'm looking for the questions asked by senators that could be on the fence. And I would put certainly Senators Collins, Murkowski, and Romney in that category.
Congressman, I'm kind of curious what's going on behind closed doors, because if we get witnesses, the nature of this whole thing could change enormously. The Clinton trial in the Senate was 5 weeks long. As you know, the Watergate Commission lasted weeks, and the report didn't come out until about a year later. So I doubt that these folks really want to go through with something so unpredictable. So what conversations are going on now behind closed doors?
Again, that's really only the Republican senators and Democratic senators know what's going on. This is being kept pretty close to the vest. I'm pleasantly surprised at the very few leaks that are coming out of these closed-door conferences. Again, to me, this shows the weakness of the Democrats' case. They shouldn't have sent the case over until they interviewed or tried to interview every witness. They didn't. They were in a rush to get it through, and now they're faced with the consequences of that in the Senate. So, again, the Senate should not be a trial court. It should be more like an appellate court, where you review the facts that are sent to you, not be looking for more facts. So, again, I don't expect there to be any surprises. Probably Bolton is the closest thing to a surprise. And again, and the way I interpret impeachment in the Constitution, this doesn't come close to the bar where that would be considered credible evidence of an impeachable offense.
Sir, I want to move on to the coronavirus very quickly. We have a plane that was filled with Americans fleeing Wuhan, China today in California that landed. All the passengers were screened for the virus during a refueling stop in Anchorage. Now, are you concerned about the spread of this, and does the CDC have things under control?
First of all, we have to be concerned, but we can't panic. I think there's a total of 5 reported cases in the United States. The CDC is on top of it. We're working with health agencies around the world. And we are seeing increased action being taken. For instance, British Airways has stopped its flights to China. I understand the White House is considering stopping all flights between the U.S. and China. And those who are coming in on these special flights are being quarantined. But again, I think the worst thing to do would be to start panic. On the other hand, we can't ignore it either. So I know there's going to be a congressional briefing given today from the CDC and from the health experts and officials. But right now, there's no reason for panic, and the CDC is doing all they can do. But again, because it's a new type virus, obviously not enough is known. But to the extent that it is known, it does not appear that it's spreading. And we have to, again, though, I do would support the idea of at least temporarily stopping flights to China.
All right. Well, Representative Peter King, thank you so much for joining us today.
You just watched Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing news channel, now in 65 million homes. Get Newsmax TV on all the major cable systems, or go to newsmaxtv.com and click on the Find Newsmax tab to locate us. Remember, Newsmax TV, we're real news for real people.